Happy hump day, Anthony. January 19th, 2022. How are you?
It's hump day! I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, everybody. We got Anthony Melchiori over there. I'm Glenn Hausman. You are tuned into No Vacancy Live for January 19th, 2022. Anthony, I remember there was a time when if I had done something like you did, you would have called me out on it and said, you're way too casual. You got to be a little bit more serious. Put on a suit, comb your hair, do all that kind of stuff. You've given up on me, though.
Well, I look very
All to my levels.
I look very formally casual.
Yeah, you do. You definitely
I have my buttoned. I have my sweater like a suit jacket.
Yep.
I have my glasses. I have my beard. It's all nice and trimmed the right way.
Yes,
I took a shower. I brushed my teeth. So tell me about you trying to buy a car in the biggest kind of problem car environment we've ever had.
Yeah. So here's what happened. My lease ended on December 15th. But when we were in Vegas at the beginning of December, I called up the financing people because it was a lease. And what was really cool was I got a note that says, because of a supply chain issue, you could qualify 6 months extension, no big whoop, whatever. I called up. I literally was even pushing all the buttons on their tree to get to the right people. I was off the phone in 4 minutes, got my thing extended up to 6 months. I could return it at any time. Then on December 31st, I ran over to the good old Subaru dealer over there, and I'm hanging out with Diego, really great guy. And it was awesome because for some reason, somehow, a miracle, I was able to get a car. Somehow one was coming.
So you got a new car
day that was just like I liked. New leased car. I didn't have the guts to buy it, but I got a brand new leased car a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. And a Subaru.
Yeah, exact same car as I had last time, but newer edition, different color. So,
well, I am a white Volvo kind of guy, so I buy white Volvos.
yes.
I'm glad you got your thing extended and it's all worked out.
Yeah, my wait, hold on. Our guest is saying he's having some issues connecting, but is going to reboot and try again.
Well, all of our guests are like me right before the show, right?
This is crazy, dude. I don't know what's going on. Something's going on in the internet universe.
Yeah, just for those people that know, I get on 4 minutes before the show, and typically I have some kind of issue. I forgot my glasses, my green screen. There's always an issue that Glenn's always ready, he's always prepared, and I'm always 2 minutes. Like I'll be right back, which is really atypical of me.
Yes,
it's not typical.
Well, you know what the thing is, Anthony. You trust us over here. You know we're going to be ready.
100%. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like 9 minutes ago, I was literally getting my shake after my workout and was driving here. I got in my house like literally 5 minutes ago and got dressed and got everything set up, and boom, there you were and ready. So that's right. I trust you.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to reach our guest over there.
Okay.
Yeah, but what's curious to me, Anthony, about you and all of the stuff that you've been doing. I remember back when we were trying to start doing on location events, and I was screwing it up because I hadn't had the technology figured out. Then you were very interested in being involved in all of that.
No, but I wasn't. I just sat back and gave you really fucking ugly stares.
Long rope. Is what you.
But it's so funny. There was a moment I remember exactly what it was, and I remember exactly where it was, and I didn't say a word, and I didn't have to, and that's what I love about you, because like I felt guilty, one, because you're doing all the work, and it was a clusterfuck, but I didn't have to say anything because one, I felt guilty because I wasn't doing any work, and two, like you're a grown ass man. I don't have to tell you. We just screwed up the show.
Right. Yeah. Well, I remember it was tough because you're like, we should cut it if there's a problem. And I kept convincing myself that we would be able to fix the problems instantaneously. I'm glad we're past those days. I'm glad our technology works. And I'm really glad that we're going to be attending Alice next week. Oh, my goodness. Lauren Nalawansky. Hey, Lauren, great to see you. You know what, Lauren? We'd love to get you on the show. Geez, I don't think I've talked to you on an official recording since way back in maybe even the Hotel Interactive Radio days, which would be longer than 6 years. So I'll get my producers to reach out to you. So that's exciting. Yeah. So Anthony,
and you would think after all these years, you wouldn't wear a shirt that pixelates on camera.
You know what? I was wearing, you remember when we first started this and I first started getting some new clothes, I'd wear all solids, right? Because of that issue. But at some point, I got really frustrated by having to wear like gray, blue, gray again, a little different shade of blue, that I started going crazy. But I think that this is a little too aggressive.
You're a little pixelated there. Yeah. I went, you know, so interesting. You never asked me. It's like I changed from my suit and tie to formally casual.
Yes.
And which I think I coined a new phrase. And you never asked me about my tie. And I just, you know what it is? I remember being on, and I can't remember, and everybody was really casual. And I was like, oh, okay. Like it's no longer like, okay, that's my style, because it really isn't. I'm like home now. Yeah. So what is my style when I'm home? When I'm on Zooms, and my style when I'm on meetings all day long, I'm dressed like this. So it's like, why am I trying to be what I was when I was working in a more formal environment? Why don't I just, you know, kind of embrace who I am today? And so now I'm formally casual.
All right, so this is interesting news. We're breaking stuff here on No Vacancy Live today. I thought that maybe you were just in a more casual mode. I didn't know this was going to be a sartorial.
Dude, when was the last time I wore a tie?
That I can't even remember.
Right, it's been months since I wore a tie, and I've decided that it doesn't work anymore because no one comes on anymore with a tie, so it looks out of place, and it's really not. I don't feel it anymore. I feel like this is my look now. Like even I'm thinking about when we go out to California, do I have to bring a suit for the Alice conference? And I think I do, right?
Yes, theoretically. Yeah. I don't know if I'm wearing a suit though at the Alice conference. I was the first one that stopped wearing ties back in the late 90s, early 2000s at the Alice conferences and all those financial conferences. And now I'm forging ahead. Now that everyone else is shedding the tie at these events, I'm getting even more casual. I think I'm just going to do a sport coat, jeans.
Yeah, well, sports coat to me is I wear suits. I don't wear sports coats really. Yeah. But if I wear a sports coat, I wear jeans. Anyway, people.
Well, that's right. Well, I mean, this is important to talk about here, Anthony, as our guests get settled in backstage, because I would do the same thing. If you're going to wear a sport jacket and slacks, you might as well just go for the whole suit and take it up a notch or two, right? But if you're going to wear jeans, then you could throw on the sport jacket.
And I needed a whole new wardrobe because my suits are now a couple of years old, like more than a couple of years old, and I need to step it up a notch.
All right, I'll tell you what, someone who has stepped up several notches already. Our incredible guest today, Daniel Del Olmo.
Is you wearing a tie?
Osage Hotel. Timeless. Thank goodness. Daniel, how are you? Can we hear you?
Gentlemen, yes, great to see you both. How are you? And welcome to Wednesday.
Are you able to turn your device the other direction so you can have the same orientation as us, perhaps, if that's possible?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it also looks like your image. Yeah, your internet connection is not all that great. But what are you gonna do? We'll try to move forward. Daniel, so great to see you. Thank you so much for being here and welcome. As you can tell, we are not in a couple of your hotels over there today. So I love that you guys have so many great properties. What do you have, like 60 different hotels or something like that right now?
We do. Yeah. 60 properties, really all over the country, over 6,000 associates, 37 years in the business. And as you know, our purpose really, we exist to enrich lives one experience at a time. And it's a purpose that we have lived proudly over the last 38 years in existence. So yeah, very proud to be part of this organization.
Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, say you guys have taken over. It's like every time I'm talking to an owner or something, that many times people ask me, what do you think about Sage? And I really don't know you guys that well. I don't know you personally. And I always say I hear good things, but I get probably asked on a weekly basis about your company. Should we hire them? Should we go with them? And so it's you guys have kind of taken over. Are you guys part of Curator yet with Pebblebrook? You are, right?
Yeah, we're actually one of the founding members, Anthony. We started having conversations. Obviously, we work with Pebblebrook. We love John and the team there. They're just wonderful people. And when they embarked on what we think is a really innovative concept that is so necessary for an independent space, and we had an opportunity to become a founding member, we didn't hesitate. And in fact, all of our independent properties are part of Curator. And I just came off the phone with Jen, who's their president, who I think has been on your show too. And
she was on our show last
ongoing.
Daniel, she was just on the show on January 5th of this year, so just 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it was great to have.
You know what's interesting, when I was talking, not to make this a Curator thing, and you know, if Pebblebrook is listening, no, they don't sponsor our show, although maybe they should one day. But I was talking to somebody again offline on a business call, and they were asking me, and I said, well, what are you doing? And they said, well, we're doing this, that, and the other thing. And I said, hey, just call Jen over at Curator and just sign a contract and shut up and go to sleep. And that we haven't had this, you know, for independent operators 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. I mean, Curator should be like, if you're an independent operator and you're not with Curator, you're not paying attention, because not only their system is smart and what they're doing is smart, but they're very they're kind of slow movers. They don't do anything without a lot of research and without thinking what's best for everyone. So well, thank you for being a founder member. And when I have enough hotels, I'm going to be a member of Curator.
I love it. And listen, I think one of the secrets to the success of Curator, Anthony, is really the fact that it was built by owners. And so you think about the owner lens, right, which is so critical. And for us as owner operators, there is so much value in thinking about how do we drive a strong value proposition for independents, so that, you know, we are set up for success in every way. And for us, you know, we've tripled our portfolio of independent properties. So in our portfolio of 60 properties, 15 of them are pure independents. And so you know, when you look at their RevPAR index and their market share over the course of last year, we basically are significantly exceeding fair share relative to their competitive sets, which in most cases include brands. And so if you can compete with brands from a market share perspective, because you have the right team in place, you have the right support in place, and then you have a partnership like Curator that helps you really manage, you know, the middle of the P&L and reduce efficiencies, get greater products and services that are available to you as an independent. There's a lot there, right? So we're proud founders.
I don't want to make this a Curator show, but I do want to say one other thing. It does the most important thing that no one talks about. It gets the GM back in the operation. You put a contract in front of a GM and said, okay, I need you to worry about the HVAC and the plumbing contract and the roofing contract, and I need you to work, you know, go and do 3 bids. And this guy's running a 200, 300 girl running a 200-300 room independent boutique property with all of the operational issues that we're facing today. It's not reasonable.
Yeah,
so I
tell you this. I tell you this, Anthony. I was just having a coffee with one of our general managers that oversees the Crawford and Oxford this morning, and one of the questions I asked him is, how can we unburden you from all of the administrative stuff that, you know, is coming to you from always, right? From our owners, from the home office, from everywhere. Because at the end of the day, if our general managers and their teams are not focused on enriching lives from our guest standpoint, from associates or communities or stakeholders, then we're not focusing them, and then we're not serving them as servant leaders. We're not serving them. And so that's the whole notion, is what can we do through these great partnerships and things that we can do from the home office to alleviate the burden so they can focus on what matters. Because we have forgotten, I think, what makes hospitality great, which is that really that interaction, that emotional connection, and those experiences that we can deliver, particularly if you play in the independent space, in the luxury lifestyle space, which is really our emphasis and our focus these days.
And it should be fun. We've taken the word fun and we don't use it anymore. And we use all kinds of words, right, for interaction between associates and clients and guests, but we don't use the word fun anymore. And to me, the experience should be fun for a general manager. And I always say, I don't have to look at my P&L. I didn't look at the P&L to the end of the month because I'm living the P&L. When I walk into housekeeping, I can tell you we need a par of linen. I can tell you we need an inventory because I see that there's a lot of stuff missing. I can see that the vacuums that they're using are inappropriate. I can see who's calling in sick and what manager's not managing right because I'm not having to report up to the home office every 5 seconds. The more I report to the home office, the more resentment I have, the more aggravation I have, and the less I know my P&L. If you have to look at your P&L every day to tell you what your hotel's doing, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. But you should, as a general manager, you should be walking around your hotel and I should be able to tell you what my food and beverage expense is without looking at my P&L. But that's just me.
Bingo. And here's the thing, Anthony, is if you and I, listen, I love you guys, and we've known each other for quite a while. But for me, you needing to report into the home office, to me, that's like old school, right? We in the home office, frankly, serve you and everybody at our properties. For me, the home office is here to serve our GMs so that they can basically focus on doing what they do best. Which is really making and delivering the best possible experience every single day, rather than them having to think that they need to report to us, right? Because that's sort of like really old school thinking. And I think, frankly, the right general managers, they have so much experience, right? They just want to be unshackled, and they want to feel supported in the right way. And so anyway, we should take some more time to figure out how we can collaborate more going forward.
Well, if you could, Suzanne, Dr. Suzanne, can you put Daniel on our list?
She went to go light the grill.
So Glenn, if you could remind me, we have to get Daniel on our VR experiment.
Yep.
We'll talk more about that, but we're going to invite everybody into the metaverse, and we're going to do a podcast for the metaverse. And we're looking for like 6 or 7 leaders in the industry to go in with us. And I was just talking to David about it before, our producer. Yeah. So anyway, we'll talk more about that. But you just said it, and this is the interesting thing. And Glenn, I'll shut up in a second. But you just said they want to be unbridled and they want to do what they have to do. If you do a predictive index on general managers, and I'll say me because I'm a general manager. So if you do a predictive index on people like me, the last thing we're good at is reporting into people. It's like general managers should be terrible at taking direction. They should be the worst at taking direction. They should be entrepreneurs that have an entrepreneurial spirit, that have created senses, that they have a number two that keeps them from falling apart. If I don't have a strong number two or strong assistant, I'm going to, all the things you want me to do reporting into your company, I'm going to fail at, because everything I'm good at is what you want me to do every day. If I have to sit down I did was an asset manager for 2 years. And I was a different person. I was a different human being for 2 years. I could not be who I was because I had to focus on cash flow. And that's not the person that runs hotels. Those are the people that asset manage hotels. So you couldn't have said it any better. You have to unshackle these people to do their job. And that has been the worst I've seen in my 35-year career. A general manager today cannot win. They can't win. Unless they have,
there's just too much thrown at them.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, I'm very passionate about it. I interview every single finalist that we have joined the team. One, because it's all about culture, and culture is all about people. Glenn and Anthony, as you know, and to me, it's not about when they are in front of me. We've already vetted them. Triple check them, triple check their backgrounds. It's not about their qualifications or their skills or their talents. It is about really making sure that we have the right profile, and that we have people that we attract that have like hearts, different minds, but like hearts, right? That really think about it's about, like Maya Angelou said, it's not about what you say, or what you do. It's about how you make people feel. And general managers, to me, are about what are we doing to make people feel these days. We have to inspire our team members. We have to make sure that our guests feel something when they visit us, because otherwise it's just a functional experience. It becomes a commodity, and then what's the point? Why are we here?
Cut through the bullshit. That's what we have to do better for general managers. We have to cut through the bullshit. We know all the problems. We know all the concerns. It's like, I hired you for your personality and your ability to interact with people. If you don't know how to read a P&L, and you don't know how to do a cash flow, or you don't know how to do a 5-year capital plan, well, that's okay. We'll help you with that. But can you get a housekeeper supervisor to talk to the housekeeper in a way that inspires that housekeeper, and then have that housekeeper be creative in a way that helps your hotel? If you have that skill, that's the only skill you need as a general manager. I'm sorry. If you can get your team to get the best out of your team, and you don't even know how to read a P&L or know what RevPAR means, I don't care.
Sounds like a good job for me.
Exactly.
That team, you have to prevent that team from killing each other. And if you can't do that, and if you can't inspire them, then you suck and you shouldn't be a general manager.
Yeah, bingo. I'm with you.
So Gordon is saying, hey, I'm kind of watching it formally. A hotel being taken over by a GM and director of finance with a current great director of human resources. Headquarters allowing them to say what they're doing to save the hotel. And headquarters is listening, and he's watching success because of that in this particular environment. So Daniel, that means you have to trust a lot as a leader, right? Because this is kind of what you're saying. You're allowing them to find success on their own. How, as a professional, do you practically allow people to do that without stepping on their business? Because a lot of folks mean well, but they wind up micromanaging. So how do you not do that, sir?
Yeah, look, I think that first of all, you have to create, as a leader, you have to really walk the talk. And I think trust is earned, right? So we as leaders need to first earn the trust. And that starts by being vulnerable and making sure that we allow for people around us to feel, one, that they're heard, two, that it is okay to fail and fail fast, three, that if for some reason something goes wrong, we're there to pick them up. I just went through a 360-degree review process where I shared all of my learnings and opportunities. I shared my development plan with my leadership team. I open kimono, right? I think that's the expression, open kimono. I shared with a third party everything, what I'm doing about how I can become a better leader. We're then going through an exercise to do the very same thing, a 360-degree review with my executive leadership team. And then we do a performance assessment program called Berkman, not just across the home office leadership team, but across every single one of general managers. And the intention of that, Glenn, is really to continue to get to know one another, get to know yourself, and basically earn trust with one another, right? Because if I understand you and you understand me, and we're ultimately here because we have like hearts, and we all have bought into the notion of that we're enriching lives one experience at a time, that becomes more natural, as opposed to perhaps a more traditional hierarchical structure where I'm telling you what to do, and if you fail, I'm gonna not support you and I'm gonna move you out, right? So it is all about the setting the tone from the top, hiring to the right profile, and making sure that we set our people up for success. And if we're not doing that as leaders, then we're not doing our job.
Well, you used a word, if I can, Glenn, for a second. You used a word that very few leaders use, and the really good ones, Jerry Anzarello, Horst Schulze, have been on the show, and they used the word, and they used it just like you used it, and they used it as soon as they opened their mouth about leadership, and they used the word vulnerability. And Glenn, you asked about trust. How do you gain the trust? If you use us as an example, when me and Glenn started working together, and he was just saying, like when he was doing all the production part of it, and I just said, listen, I'll sign up for the podcast, but you do everything and I show up. And if that's not a fair deal, and we split everything 50-50, if that's not a fair deal, I'm out. If you ask me to plug one thing in, I'm out, because I don't want to do that. And I want to come in 1 hour a day, and I want to leave, and I don't want to do other things. and we had that deal. So he was doing the production. We went on site a couple of times, and he screwed up. There were things that were screwed up. We didn't know the technology, and instead of getting in there, I watched them.
Right.
And I just would look at him and go, dude, this sucks. We got to do better. And I just gave him, again, we're partners. It's not like he works for me, I work for him. But I didn't like give him any more stress because I saw the stress on his face.
Yeah.
So I trusted that he'll figure it out. And so my vulnerability was, we may fail again. The vulnerability was like, he may not think I'm not upset about it. And that if I put any pressure on a guy like Glenn, or you put any pressure on a guy like me, we are going to stop functioning.
Yeah.
And so the trust has got to be there, though, as far as you can't be like a leader that you are, Daniel, where you're trusting your general managers if your general managers aren't doing what they said they're going to do. So, yeah, they could screw up, but there's got to be performance before there's trust. So everybody can trust everybody, but if a general manager comes in and says, I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing, and you miss your P&L the first month, the second month, the third month, you're not coming in on time, you're getting bad reviews from your staff, I can't give you that kind of rope, that kind of room. I have to be a micromanager. So people like us, and I'd imagine in your position, you're not a micromanager until you have to be. And if I have to be a micromanager, I get very quiet. Right. And you probably have your resume on Indeed, or you should at least. And that's how you build trust, Glenn. You just can't give it. You have to. And once you have it, it's blind trust. Like, I mean, do I ever even worry about anything anymore? It's blind. And if we screw up,
he doesn't even worry about being set up before 11:50.
Right. And when you screw up, that was a day. But that was screw up. But if you screw up now, if I screw up, I don't care.
Right.
Because the trust is there. So if a general manager misses a P&L, or general manager forgets to do something, I don't care, because the trust is so, that insurance policy is so big that I hope they screw up. So it gives them an opportunity to see how I react to that screw up.
Right, Daniel?
No question. And here's the thing for me, Anthony. To me, if for some reason someone is not succeeding, we as leaders are there to help them succeed. And there's many ways where we can figure out what that takes, right? Perhaps there's not the right support. Perhaps they're not surrounded by people that complement their opportunities. Perhaps it is because, there's too much coming at them at the same time. Perhaps because, there's things happening in their personal life where they need some additional support, love, understanding, right? And so at the end, we always take the position of, if for some reason, our leaders are not succeeding in what they are set up to do, we are there first and foremost to make sure that they're successful in whatever way we can help them out, and making them. I saw a note that came in from one of the viewers, making sure that people feel part of success. Right. Ultimately, everybody wants to be part of a winning team, right? And wants to be on that journey together, and the credit belongs to the people in the field that are making it happen and are living, this hard life every single day in and day out, and are making it rain. So I have huge respect, not just for a general manager, but you mentioned the housekeepers. Every time I visit a hotel, I love to go to the heart of the house and spend time with the housekeepers and just check in with them. And you talk about tough times, right? I mean, if that was a tough job in the past, just think about how hard that has become during COVID, right? How you have to deal with COVID positive cases and things like that, right? So the amount of love that we need to show and support for everyone in our teams to be successful as leaders or emerging leaders, no matter where you are in your career or in your environment, I think is critical.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, Daniel, what are some of the biggest issues your teams are confronting, and how are they managing? And then how are you acting as like the big tent to kind of bring everybody together and solve those things together?
Yeah, great question. So I think you've probably heard this ad nauseum, that labor is and continues to be a huge issue. Just a little issue here. I mean, look, this past year, right? So last year, obviously, like everybody else, we had to unfortunately furlough and lay off 91% of our workforce, when we went from basically running 70% occupancy across the entire portfolio to 3%. We then had to staff back up, right, to get back to 6,000 associates around the country, and we still to this day have 900 open positions that we have a really tough time staffing, because a lot of our associates, particularly in line level positions, have exited the hospitality industry and have gone to the Amazons of the world, right? And so to me, I just joined the board of trustees of AHLA Foundation, and I'm super passionate about what their mission is, because because we have to figure out a way how we evolve. Having a job in hospitality really is considered a career. I grew up in Europe. I've been trying to get rid of my accent. It's still there after all these years. But in Europe, hospitality was always a career, right? Here, in many instances, it's being considered a job. And the reality is, look, I started in the kitchen. I started in McDonald's while I was in college, and I loved it. And the reality is, this is one of these industries where you can go from working in the kitchen or working on front desk and working all your way up to the home office or general manager, whatever leadership position is that you aspire to take, right? And so labor is an issue in many fronts, and we need to attract, retain, and nurture our labor. I take a breath to see if there's anything that resonated with what I just shared with you.
Everything, Anthony.
Glenn, did you remind you of anybody?
I'm just really happy. First of all, his internet is back, and he reminds me suspiciously of your way of thinking. And
my energy. I think, Daniel, I think you and I are twins, and we talk about it a lot and we're doing stuff at Indian River State College where we're doing an institute, and we're taking the Hospitality Institute, and we're figuring out a way to make it even bigger than what we first initially thought. And it comes down to exactly what you said. We've got to stop this just like, okay, this is a hospitality degree and this is hospitality. Okay. And we've got to say, this is the enthusiasm, and this is what happens at hotels, and this is what can happen in your career. You can go right now. Anybody that I know that I've been mentoring can say, Anthony, I want to go to Greece and I want to work in a hotel. Probably by the end of the week, they'll be working in Greece in a hotel. Okay. That's what we got to get people enthusiastic about. We've got to be able, like people say, they want to travel around in the trailer and they want to see the country. Okay, that's great for 6 months. But if you really have that motivation of seeing the world, you join the military or you should be a hotelier, because those are the two places that you can make a living seeing the world. And you can have fun doing it. Living in the camper for 6 months is fun, and then it's not. And so I am kind of turning things on its head in my brain to kind of my next step of, I want to take what you have, Daniel, because we interview executives every day. We've had 600 people on this show, if not more.
Not very many Belgians, though.
Very few people. People that have. What did you say?
Not very many Belgians. That's where he's.
Well, it's one of my favorite countries, by the way. And the executives we have, they're all great, but there's very few that stand out like you. Like there's, to me, like a Mike Stengel, a Jerry Anzarello, a Larry Broughton, who hasn't been on the show in a long time, who I'm actually going to see on Monday. I'm really excited about, from Broughton Hospitality. And those are the people that don't think about the operations. They think about the people. We went from being a people industry to being, what does Marriott want? What does Hilton want? Everything's so expensive. The third parties want 18%. The unions want this. How much my tax is going to go up? Holy shit! I have a Marriott now. They have 37 Marriotts on the same street. Now let me go fight with them about you're in my territory. Let me now the vice presidents. Where are they all? They all got furloughed. And they're coming back. And we're still as strong as we've ever been. No, you're not. You're full of crap. How can you be full when you have 40% of your work staff, your executives, are no longer here? So right. I'm dealing with all of these issues, and then 37,000 I haven't talked about, and then we got to feel the general manager. We've got to make sure the general manager has what he has. The general managers have been abused. And I don't think anybody's done that purposefully, and I don't mean physically, but mentally. You and I, coming up in this industry, we were abused. We were mentally and physically abused. 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, shut up, sit in the corner, and do more, do more, do more, do more, do more. We were yelled at, we were screamed at, we were treated poorly. That's how we grew up. That's all we knew. Now that we're in charge, we got to realize that's not the right way to raise us.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And listen, I think as we evolve from this, because this too shall pass, and I know we've been saying this for 2 years, but I do think that this Omicron thing is going to peak, and you know, Q2 for us is definitely going to look better.
In New York already, so we're in.
Yeah, exactly, Glenn. And so this is going to pass, and so we need to set our view on and our lens to the future, and to me, I think we would do our industry a disservice if we don't think about how we attract people back into the industry, and we as leaders need to provide them with a rewarding, fulfilling, and satisfying career in whichever way that looks, feels, smells, tastes like for individuals, right? Because not everybody needs to become a CEO. You know, there's so many rewarding and enriching ways that one can be part of this incredible industry, and we need to set that stage. So going back, Glenn, to your great question, I think labor is a big piece. I think making sure that we attract people to the industry and setting the right career path and foundation is critical. And then beyond, I think the other piece that frankly we're all dealing with is the ongoing stop-start, right? I mean, we're just talking again with my team this morning about cancellations that are coming in. Our restaurant company, we've got 36 restaurants, a bunch of bars, a bunch of entertainment venues. Imagine across 19 different states. Every day is a new day, right? Because today we close, then tomorrow we open, then it's indoor, then it's outdoor. The amount of stress and wear and tear that has on our team, that's where I think we as organizations, and again, as leaders, have to think about what are we doing for mental well-being, for good health. Case in point, yesterday, and people, viewers may think I'm nuts, but we have started, we had our executive leadership team yesterday, we've started to take a 3-minute focused meditation. That's not before crazy. We start. Yeah. And listen, it's perhaps a little bit out there, but think about, the amount of stuff that everybody is dealing with that is on their mind. Right. How do we get rid of the noise so we can be present with one another? And Zoom, this whole Zoom thing, I love that we can see each other virtually, but there's nothing like being together. I hope that we can see each other in person at Alice, gentlemen, because there's nothing like giving each other a hug and being together in person, right? And so, mental health well-being is critical.
And I just had the COVID, so I'm going to kiss your whole face.
Amazing.
I want to point something out. I want to point something out. I've been around everybody in this industry, and if I worked for you, I would just be excited to come to work tomorrow. I'll tell you why. Because all the things you just mentioned, right? There's so many challenges. If my boss is feeling the pressure, I'm going to feel the pressure. One of the things I'd like to think that no matter how stressed out I've been in doing what I'm doing, turning around hotels, I'd always pop in the morning like I was on crack. Right. And I might have been high strung and I might have gotten the team riled up, but it was never like, oh my God, this is so hard. This is like, no one's turned this hotel around before, and the owners are up my ass and everything is a problem. Like I showed up and like, hey, what's up? And I'm out of my mind. But people, either there's two things that happen. They run for the exits, which I love that because I'm like, bye. The bus is outside. They'll take you anywhere you want to go. Or the other crazy people like me show up. And I can tell you ad nauseum, people that were on my team that went on to unbelievable success, bigger than success I could ever imagine. Ruben, we talked about Ruben. He's been on the show. He's a warm-up guy for Steve Harvey. He's doing a million things, and he worked for me at Nickelodeon. And he is ridiculously successful. And so many people, because their enthusiasm is what keeps them. So I'm going to ask you a question if I can, Glenn. Can I ask a question, a two-part question?
Okay.
A two-part question. I want to break it down for what we're really dealing with every day. And I think you, more than anyone, kind of really sees it and really identifies it. So I want you to tell me where you had one person in the last 2 years that skyrocketed, went from this position, and then all of a sudden took the roof off the place, and you're like, oh my God, that person's going to take my job. And then a person in the last 2 years that you really had, you thought was going to get there and didn't get there. Obviously, you don't have to mention names or places, but like maybe a young person that just didn't have what you thought they had, and you did all the things you talked about, and you did everything, and you loved, and you kissed, and you did everything, but they're like, they just didn't have it in them. Are there 2 examples?
Yeah, I can give you one example of a person that really sort of completely knocked it out of the park at one of our properties. This was a rock star lady, head of sales and marketing, working with an amazing general manager here in Denver, that we subsequently promoted into his dream job, overseeing 2 of our flagship properties here. And that lady, during the pandemic, basically took it upon herself to say, listen, I'm going to take the best of this whole scenario, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to basically roll up my sleeves, follow my general manager, and learn everything about the operational side of the business, even though she had never held she'd never worked in operations, Anthony. She'd always been in sales and marketing. She'd always been a tremendous sales leader, really, really passionate, super aligned with her values, very eager to grow, very vulnerable, right? Open-minded, eager to learn. And so when the position came open and we needed a next star GM, rather than going to what you typically do when you go and look at somebody that has the qualifications, we basically heard that she was really eager and she was ready and she wanted to do it. And we sat down with her, and she, Anthony, inspired me. She inspired everybody that she sat down with. And we said, you know what? We love her enthusiasm. We love her passion. We're going to give her the opportunity. Everybody was in lockstep. We provided her with some mentoring from different leaders in the organization. And she's one of our rising stars and shining examples of how throughout the pandemic, in the worst of times, you can find these amazing people that you would have never thought would have been in the position that they are today. And they're setting the example.
IQ. It had nothing to do with college she went to. It had nothing to do with her experience. It had to do with attitude. And you just proved what I'm trying to say. In this environment, in the hospitality industry, your attitude, your resume doesn't matter. It's your attitude, because we know we're going to get our butt kicked on a daily basis. It's how you're going to deal with that. I'd be the person that the more you kick my butt, I'm like, what else you got? Come on. That's nothing. And you look for those crazy people. You look for those like, come on. And we all get on the same boat, and then we all successful. Is there an incident where someone that you thought would knock it out of the park, just, unfortunately, they just didn't have the heart of hospitality?
Yeah, I think again, so throughout the pandemic, you really learn who is able to deal with uncertainty, because God knows how much uncertainty we've had to deal with. Deal with ambiguity, right? Because there was not a clear path, at least that I was aware of or our team was aware of. And so we had a general manager that had been in a role overseeing, quite a large property. And that person was just not able to step up and basically roll up the sleeves, adjust, pivot, which is not a word that I like, but it was it was a necessity, right? You talk about, in adversity, you have to course correct constantly. You have to adjust constantly, and you have to set the tone for the team, even if that means that you're going to be valet parking cars, stripping beds, and all of the things that you're not used to doing, rather than sitting basically in your office and just sort of being trepidating with every single decision. So that person left the organization, and while sad, again, it provided an opportunity for us to basically promote from within, which we've done a lot over these last 2 years, to give people an opportunity to step up in the role. And I got to tell you, I'm so excited and honored, and frankly in awe with the leadership team that we have across the country.
Well, it resonates with every word. It drips out of your mouth and your enthusiasm. You know, some people want to organize the chairs on the deck of the Titanic. And it's like, dude, like, I would love to do it with you. And we did it for a while. Like, I can't, like, dude, we hit an iceberg. We got to go down the engine room and find out what's going on.
Exactly.
So, Daniel, then let me ask this. Speaking of the engine room and stuff like that, to me, the engine room is the culture of your company. So how do you infuse into the culture of the company that you're not coming here for a job, you're coming here for those career opportunities, and set that tone right from the start throughout each individual's tenure with you?
Yeah. Every single conversation that I have, every single conversation that our hiring managers have, every single conversation that we have around talent planning, talent review, is all about, you're here with us along the journey. We are thrilled and excited for you to be on this journey. We're here to help you succeed, and we're going to find opportunities for you along the way, whether that's lateral opportunities, whether that's upward opportunities. We had a vice president of food and beverage here in our corporate office that put his hand up to say, hey, I'd like to become a general manager of one of our properties in Napa, without, again, experience in running hotels. And we said, you know what? We love your passion. We love your enthusiasm. We're going to support you. And he's doing an amazing job today. And so to me, it is about really thinking about what is it that the people are looking for, that each and every single associate is looking for in their chapter in their lives, and then finding a way to help them with all of the support, the tools, the genuine and proactive support that we provide as leaders to them.
I'm mentoring a kid that got an opportunity to potentially take over a restaurant at a very young age. And I was like, you can do that, or you can come in the hotel business and have a career.
Right.
So you can be beat up and make some money at a very young age. And, they don't have 37,000 hotels and restaurants that you can choose from. And that's another thing that people get involved in, where it's like Sage Hospitality or Marriott or whatever. Like, you're not working for them. You're working in our industry, and you can go work for anybody you want.
Exactly.
At any time of day, any time of night. Like, you can find a job. I will challenge anyone. If you cannot find a job in this industry, even in the best of times, it's because you don't want one.
Right. That is
100%.
super true. Yeah. So, Daniel, let me ask you this then, because you're not just hotels, you're restaurants, your design, your investments, all of that. So, have you moved professionals in your organization from one division to the other, even though you may not be running the restaurant division, for example?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the case in point was the head of food and beverage that came from the restaurant company that we basically promoted into a general manager position. Right. That's a good example. We promoted someone on the investment team to lead our growth.
Right.
Of the company in terms of getting new management opportunities in. And so, look, I think to me, a non-linear path, a non-linear career path is super appealing to me. One, perhaps because I'm biased. I did a bunch of different things, public companies, private companies, entrepreneurial companies. And
you worked on the restaurant side of the universe before this as well.
Yeah, that's right. And so to me, I think that just having exposure, Glenn, to all of these different aspects of the business, and in Sage, we're very fortunate in that we have all of these different opportunities under one enterprise, under one umbrella. But I encourage people to basically look at growing and learning outside of your comfort zone.
Yes.
Somebody years ago told me, when I was still sort of young in my career, said, Daniel, I want you to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I love that, right?
Anthony
because
says that.
Yeah, that's right. It was Anthony. But it's true. You think about that, right? from the moment that you become comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
what is the learning? Right? Where's the stretch side? Right? How do we push ourselves? And frankly, listen. And when Walter and I met, Walter's the co-founder, and Zach, who were still involved. I admire them. They are truly the epitome of servant leadership and servant leadership. When Walter and I met a couple of years ago,
he's of course referring to Walt Eisenberg, so everybody knows.
Exactly, Walter Eisenberg. Yeah, so he and I spoke, and I said, look, after being in this business for 25 years, I realized I know nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't say that just for a statement. I meant the fact that if you're not here at whatever stage in your career to grow and learn from everyone around you, no matter what position they have in the organization, at the property level or at the home office level, then I think frankly life is not that appealing or that exciting, right? So I learn every second of the day from the most unexpected places.
Listen, we're all, at the end of the day, we're all traveling, we're all doing our things, we're all raising our families, we're all building our businesses. At the end of the day, we're all going to the same place, right? We're all going to be on the same train going to the same place. And if you're not having fun, and Glenn's heard the story, but when you say be uncomfortable, and I've been in that situation where I'm so comfortable that I'm like, everything is just firing on all cylinders, financially, career. Yeah. And I'm like almost like out of my mind. Like I need something hard to to deal with, in a business perspective. And this kid I was mentoring, and he calls me up and he says, he was complaining, and there's nothing I hate worse than a whiner. Nothing. Like you probably have a lot more patience than I do for a whiner. Like I just have no patience. You come in and you're stressed out and you're crying, that's fine. But if you come in and you're just whining, I can't handle. So he's whining. I said, I'm going to give you 10 seconds of my time. Put a little pebble in your shoe for 3 days and then call me back. Doesn't call me back for a month, maybe more.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I don't think he called me back. I can't remember. I think he LinkedIn me, texted me or something and said, I got the message. I understand. In other words, you always should have a pebble in your shoe. You should always have something to complain about, but nobody cares. And that's really something that everybody's just got to get. It's like, Daniel, you have a million problems I don't want. I just don't want any of your problems. Okay. Because you're running a big company and you got too many problems for me to want to deal with that. Right. And I'm sure you don't want mine or Glenn's. And so nobody cares about your problems. Just bring a positive attitude and we'll solve them together. But if you're going to tell me about within 30 seconds, I'm going to be bored and say, okay, all right, whatever. You're complaining, you're whining. So that to me is the most important statement. Listen, you're going to have a problem today. Like right now, we're complaining about the new variant, right? I don't want to say the variant because if I don't say it right, Glenn will yell at me. And but tomorrow we're going to complain about something else.
Yep.
Right now we have a problem with Ukraine and Russia. That's going to become our new problem if that doesn't get straightened out. There's always going to be a problem. And if you go into life saying, I have to manage this problem, you should be thinking about 5 problems ahead of you.
Exactly. Yep. We are completely akin and aligned. And again, I think it's okay to be uncomfortable. We certainly have all been very uncomfortable of these last 2 years. God knows, with all these tests that we have to do and what we have to deal with. But the reality is, life is not easy. But let's make the most of it. It's another day in paradise, and I think you're right. It is all about attitude, and as leaders, we set the tone, right? So if you can feel my energy and my passion, and because it's genuine, hopefully that translates across organization with more energy and passion and enthusiasm that then sort of trickles down, and that then reaches our guests and our associates and our communities, and hopefully that enriches lives, right? That's what it's all about. That's why we're here.
Let me ask you this then, Daniel. It is about getting out of the comfort zone, something the 3 of us do all of the time. But for folks that are uncomfortable with being uncomfortable, what advice would you give them to be in the right mindset to push themselves out of that place where they're so used to being?
My advice would be, don't take yourself too seriously. We are not saving lives here, right? And it is
That's right.
not it's not rocket science. We are in hospitality. We're here to serve others and enrich lives, and it's okay. It will be okay. My advice is, no matter what, it will be okay. Find the right organization to be a part of, and that is aligned with your values, with your ethics, with your morals, and that environment will help you succeed and will help enrich your life and enrich the lives of those around you. It will all be okay.
Yeah. I've been in environments where I thought the problem was me, and I realized the problem isn't me. I'm just in the wrong environment. It's
Exactly.
like they're if I make a mistake, they're gonna
Great
beat my
point.
head in. If I want to be in an environment where I make a mistake and everybody laughs at it and go, all right, don't do that again. I'll tell you when I realized that, like you said, don't take yourself too seriously. Real quick, two examples. I was in the Air Force and I worked for a gentleman named Colonel Kenning. Colonel Kenning eventually became a general in charge of nuclear assurance. So he had a pretty serious job. And we were at a nuclear base, and then we were at the stealth bomber base, all the same base, Whiteman Air Force Base. And I won't go into it here, but it's declassified now. But when I was in there, and all I did was pour coffee for the generals and stuff, so I didn't have an important role outside of just making sure everybody was taken care of. And I'm in the back of the room, making sure everything is where it is. We're in this command center, and they were talking about some serious stuff. But literally, I wasn't listening because I was just making sure they had enough sugar and coffee. And I remember somebody saying they got an alert, because anytime there was an alert, it was a big loud thing. And the colonel walks out quietly, comes back about an hour later. The meeting continues. I didn't learn till years later what he had to deal with in that hour. He comes into the room, okay, like nothing happened. Like like his coffee was too cold. That was like the biggest thing on his mind, right? And when I tell you, it was like literally almost like a serious problem, like almost a missile got launched. Okay, the missile didn't almost get launched, but we thought, based on everything that they were reading on the command post, on a different side of a different location of the base, that they thought they were launching a missile.
You sure you weren't just watching the movie War Games?
No, no, I lived it, bro. I lived it for 5 years. I lived in a nuclear base. But my point being is, he walked out no problem, and he walked in no problem. And this guy's got the stealth base of the nuclear bombs, 150 intercontinental ballistic missiles. And so I was like, so anytime I get crazy about something, I'm just like, oh my God. It's like, I didn't almost launch a missile.
What a great story. Talking about taking yourself too seriously, right? If people like that can sort of, put things in perspective, putting things in perspective, at least for me, is like, hey, listen, I'm not saving lives. God, I faint when I see a little bit of blood. So it's all going to be okay.
If you want to really learn about life, just read anything that a 5-star or 4-star general's written.
Right.
H.R. McMaster, I just heard an interview with him on Joe Rogan's podcast. I needed to have 5 PhDs to understand the complicated issues this man has dealt with in his career. Right. And he was so funny, so articulate. And this man sent men and women to war, to die, and to protect our country. And he knew every member of every NFL team, baseball team, knew every person's name he's ever dealt with in the military, knew every region of every area he's dealt with. He's the most read person I've ever met. And he was funny. And I can imagine if I was under his command, him saying, hey, do me a favor, take that hill. You only got 1 bullet and 90% chance you're going to die. And I'd be like, cool, I'll be right back. Right? That to me is leadership.
Yeah, totally. What a great story. Thank you for sharing. That's we got to spend more time together, Anthony. Yeah. I'm sure you got a couple of very inspiring stories to up your sleeve.
I got a couple stories. Let's heard some.
Just a couple, right?
Just a couple. But they're great, which is one of the fun things about getting to do the show with him 4 days a week here at 12 o'clock Eastern time, 9 a.m. West Coast time. So, Daniel, before we wrap up, because it's already at 1 o'clock here on the East Coast, you had mentioned that meditation thing a little bit earlier, and I feel like all of this comes back to that, finding a place to be centered and calm and all of that. How has it helped you in your life? Because that's something that I'm trying to do a little bit more of.
Yeah, great question. Look, I think to me, I'm using this tool that our chairman Zach Newmeyer shared with us called it's called FitMind, and it's almost like a, I call it basically meditation for dummies, but I guess no novices like me. I've been meditating for a little bit, and to me, every day it's a couple of minutes. It provides you with some guidance. It's really simple and straightforward. I reinforce it, like I said, in meetings that I have, just to be present. And so to me, it helps me to basically clear my mind and be present. And I see Michelle here saying it's all about breathing. The breathing exercise is incredible. Breath is such a powerful tool to help you stay centered. So I encourage you to give it a try.
I just downloaded it as you were talking. I just downloaded it, and I was never a person. I can't meditate. I just can't, because my mind goes all over. But I can breathe. So when I'm breathing and I'm going off on different things in my mind that I'm thinking about, the breath gets me asleep. So as I'm breathing and my mind's going crazy, I go into not a real sleep, but kind of, my mind just shuts down. And so to me, if I start off like, all right, let's just be quiet and let's meditate. But if you concentrate on the breathing, like one of the things I talk about sometimes is I did a 17-minute plank. And when I did the 17-minute plank, people were like, how'd you do it? All I did was concentrate on my breathing. And before I knew it, I listened to, 3 of Queen's songs, and all of a sudden I was out of my trance, and I had a 17-minute plank.
Wow.
So as
amazing,
person that's always had problems with just kind of taking the chill pill, breathing has helped. I just gave my trainer a book called Breath, and it's about that big. And if you're really into the techniques of breathing, it'll change your life.
Breath, I'm gonna download it and read it. Thank you for that advice. Great. That sounds like a great book.
Awesome. Daniel, I know we're over time already. This has been great. We'll see you in person next week at Alice, the America's Lodging Investment Summit at LA Live. I'm looking forward to that. But any final words of advice? Feel free to do a good plug for your company as well, if you'd like.
You're the best. Love you guys. All of us. This will be a much better world if all of us, think about what is our purpose in life, what is our why. And for me, for us here at Sage, it's about enriching lives. And as simple and straightforward as that sounds, every single decision that we make needs to be focused and centered on, are we living our purpose, not how.
Before you leave, Daniel.
I don't know if you can still see me, but that's the latest message to leave you all with. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
But before that, I want to add a statement. Before you leave, I'm going to be 100% transparent. I hate management companies typically because I think most of them are full of shit. And anytime I heard Sage Hospitality, I know you guys are coming up, but I never had a bad or good word to say about you guys because I didn't really know you that well. After listening to you, this is the new, bye, Daniel. This is the new way a management company is supposed to act. This gives me faith that management companies and CEOs of management companies are really taking it serious for the frontline worker. And it's just not getting more hoteliers. So after listening to him, I am inspired. And I will never say anything but insane things about Sage, because if that guy's running the show, I'll give him every hotel. If I own 20 hotels, I'll give him all of them.
And I'll tell you what, little behind the scenes story. Wait, he's back to officially say goodbye.
So, Daniel, did you hear what I said?
No, you probably didn't, because he fell off.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Daniel, can you hear me?
No, he can't. Oh, well. All right, Daniel. We'll see you later then. All right? Be good.
So if a person like him is running, I mean, when was the last time you spoke to a guy like that?
Yeah, it's been a while. And it's really funny you should say that, Anthony, because producer Dave is like, hey, what are you going to talk to Daniel Del Olmo about? We got to figure out topics. I'm like, nah. He's the type of guy, you say hello, it all works itself out.
And then we've had people on the show, and we won't mention who, where I'm texting you going, I'm dying, please help me.
Yes.
And it's inspiring It's inspiring. Do you see, like, even when I told a story, how he said thank you, how he said, like, even about breath. Oh, I got to get that book. That sounds really like he made me feel important. Here, I'm a guy that I don't really give a crap if you make me feel important or not. Like, but I felt like a 12-year-old. I was like, oh, okay, I like you. Can I work for you?
Yeah. I love it. This is Colleen is the Maven Hotel in Denver, Colorado. If you want to check out that,
we got to do more shows like this, my friend. We got to talk about this kind of stuff because everything else is bullshit. And when I start talking about, once we figure out what we're doing at Indian River State College, I'm getting more and more excited about it because he said everything that I hope. Like when he just said doing, I know we got to go, but like doing that 3-minute meditation before. I know it sounds corny. No, it doesn't sound corny. That's the problem. Those are the things we need to do.
Some of the most successful people in the world do meditation.
I think all of them probably.
I wouldn't be surprised because you need to cut out all of that noise. And Anthony, what was the name of that app again?
Hold on. I just you close this out. Okay, Fit Mind. I just opened it. It's Fit Mind for everyone.
Yeah. Beautiful. Now it's changed screens. But yeah, awesome. All right. That was a lot of fun today. Now, you might have noticed, for those of you watching, Daniel's visuals were a little bit scratchy at first, but that's okay. That's why you guys are all joining us in our audio version of our podcast. Of course, you can listen to that on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you like to listen to your podcast. Well, you'll be able to find No Vacancy Live and our other shows there as well. He's at Anthony Hotels, and I'm at Traveling Glenn. And for some reason, we're not where you'd like to download our shows. Let us know. Anthony, any final?
Yes, you'll be happy to know that even though my assistant is a little busy for me lately, she's working on a lot of things.
Yeah,
I did make my own plane reservation to LAX.
What?
So I will be seeing you Sunday.
This is very exciting, Anthony. What flight are you taking out on Sunday?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm getting out on a very early flight.
All right, so we probably won't be on the same plane. All right, cool. Everybody, thank you so much.
You know why I'm taking an early flight.
Oh yeah. I'm just curious
because there may be a small little poker tournament.
I know.
You know it's true because I told my wife, I said, listen, I'll stay late, but if I take the later flight, it have to take two. What do you call it? I have to take. I go to the second airport. I'm not going to a second airport.
No, that is not something you want to do. All right, everybody. Tomorrow you've got the incredible, great Sarah Dandishi joining us tomorrow, plus a little bit of Ask Anthony and Glenn. I'm really looking forward to that. Next week, of course, we'll be at the Alice Conference. We're going to be talking to the folks from Pacifica Hotels. We got the president of Red Roof on next week, George Limbert, working on some stuff for Wednesday's show. We'll see how that goes. Then, we got Roger Dow coming up, the head of U.S. Travel, and a lot more great content coming.
I want to hear Roger. Oh, my God. I'm looking forward. Also, I don't know if David did this, but we tried to get Dr. Primus back on.
We were trying to get him on the first day of the year. It didn't work out, and I do not know what happened.
I talked to Dr. Primus. Dr. Primus said, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
With this date, I sent it to David. So we got to get Dr. Primus back on because he has a perspective that's phenomenal. Because he went from being in the front lines, and he does all A-list celebrities. He does hotels in New York, to like being in this little bubble suit running around the city, and taking care of people, to he's like, Anthony, there's nothing going on in the city anymore. And then to completely to the point where his brain was falling out of his head because New York City got on fire all at the same time.
Right.
So I'd like to hear what happened.
That's awesome. All right, everybody. Tune in every day because you never know when that story is going to pop up. Thank you so much for being here. And remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
take care of yourself.
See you all tomorrow.
I'm sorry. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah, I'm glad you're the one